Hello and welcome to the Slow the Fuck Down podcast with Glow London and The Drum. I'm Emma Harris, Chief of Glow London and founder of the Slow the Fuck Down movement. In May 22, I had a completely out of the blue cardiac arrest and beat odds of 96-4, surviving unscathed. Since then, I've been committed to sharing the perspective I'm now blessed with, that many of us are wasting the precious time we have on this planet with unsustainable pace and stress. In each episode, I'll welcome some fabulous guests onto the show to share their stories of how slowing down or not has affected their lives, their teams, and their businesses. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to the Slow the Fuck Down podcast. I'm Emma Harris, and joining me today are two champions of women in the workplace, Katy Friedman and Tobi Asare. Katy's the founder of Flexible Working People, reshaping the way we think about careers, championing flexible work as the standard so talented people can contribute fully while balancing life, which we all need to do. Katy helps businesses benefit from this incredible depth of experience and expertise we have in the workforce that are out there looking for flexible working. Tobi is author of the book The Blend, which is all about successfully blending family and career. We all need to read that. And also the brilliant new hire at AAR, consultants to the marketing industry. Tobi and AAR are all about bringing fresh perspective to building operating models that actually work, combining insight with practical experience. Welcome, Katy and Tobi.
Thank you, Anna.
I'm very excited to get into the crux. I mean, God, we're here to talk about slowing the fuck down. You guys are champions of this. I'm going to start with you, Tobi. The first question I always ask is, how do you think we got here? Why do you think we need people to slow the fuck down today in this crazy world?
My goodness, what a question to start with. That's a big question. When I think about that question, I definitely think about one thing is my device, my phone. It follows me everywhere. I'm constantly on it, from, like we were just talking about, from booking parents' evenings to activity clubs to the PTA to work to emails to family. It's just this one thing that encompasses all of our lives, and it's quite hard to get away from it. So I think this device that kind of follows us everywhere and this constant need to be on and be everything to lots of different people, I think is definitely a pressure in terms of how we kind of get to where we are and feel like, well, I need to take a moment. And then you just have to look at the economical pressures that kind of face businesses. We're always constantly asked to do more with a lot less and fewer resources. And if you are ambitious like myself, you want to make the most of those opportunities. And sometimes you're running with it at great pace and not appreciating that, you need to kind of take a step back. There's just a lot on our plate, especially as, I think, modern, ambitious women.
Yeah, absolutely. Katy?
Yeah, so I think the workplace is a little bit broken. I don't think that it's set up well for the modern family.
Completely agree.
I think that it was set up for a structure of, one person went to work and the other one stayed at home. And obviously that's not how it is anymore. You can't afford a mortgage. Two people have to work in a family, yet the structures that we live in don't enable women, particularly because they are the primary caregivers, to be in the workplace, and our childcare system's broken, and the workplace structure is broken. And for those reasons, we really struggle. I think just also what Tobi said about always being on, I think our boundaries are madly blurred. I think COVID sent everybody home, and now there's this mad tension between the workplace and people and what people actually want. And I think people voted with their feet and said, we don't want to be here every day. We prioritize our life more now. We've seen what it is to not be in work every day and don't want to be here anymore. And they've started to think about what's more important. And I think that people have put sort of just success and status and identity behind balance and well-being and, taking care of yourself. So I think that there's this imbalance. And I think that we're always on, the boundaries are blurred. And, even if we're working from home, technology is there. We've got Slack, we've got Teams, we've got emails. We just can't switch off. And I think that causes a massive tension. And, it just blows my mind every day how I'm constantly juggling between the email and the dinner table and making dinner. And we were just talking about the emails and dropping the balls everywhere. And, you know, I drop the balls every single day. And I just think that we just live in a really, you know, it's a tough place to be right now, especially for women.
I completely agree, and I'd love you to think about how many balls you didn't drop, rather than focusing on the one. I forgot to take the dog to the vet last night. She's got a bad paw, and I was on a call with a client and went, shit! Well, there we go. What can you do? I just phoned them. They were very sweet and booked for today, but I completely agree. So, a saying I often think about is 50 years ago, women got the keys to daddy's office, but people forgot to tell them you've also got to do mum's work as well. And it's just not sustainable, is it?
No.
Which is why we wanted to read your book, Toby. How are you guys doing? So in this madness, you're talking about this sort of always on energy that you've got in your life. How are you doing? Got a new job as well?
Yeah, I feel quite hopefully positive. I'm sure we'll come to it at some point in my career. Quite recently took a moment out and did lots of amazing things, spent time with family, traveled. So I feel like I've started this new chapter with a quite healthy, fresh, positive, excited perspective. So I'm feeling quite positive about things. I feel like I'm learning myself better. I'm learning to manage my energy. I'm dropping balls. It's fine.
Yeah.
And I quite like the way that you phrased it in terms of let's think about the balls that you didn't drop. There's quite a few balls that I'm keeping up in the air and juggling. And it's quite funny. I was talking about this recently on social media, and I took a plastic cup, and that was supposed to kind of symbolize a ball that you could drop. And I dropped it and nothing happened.
Yeah.
And I often reflect back on that and think, it's fine. I dropped those balls. Nobody died. It wasn't an emergency. It was fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm feeling good. Ask me in 6 months' time, but I'm still feeling good.
Well, your tank is full.
Yeah.
Because you've done lots of slowing down. Katy, how are you doing?
I would honestly say I'm madly overwhelmed all the time. I don't have my shit together in a way that I would like to. It's been really interesting, my journey, because when I was in the workplace, for very different reasons, I was burning out and exhausted. So I set up a business really to create that flexibility and to give me autonomy and control. But what I've learned is that setting your own business is so much harder, and I'm even more exhausted and I'm dropping even more balls, because when you work for someone else, there is that element of, okay, well, I'm not working for myself. I can just switch off at times. But when you're doing it for yourself and the buck stops with you, and actually I'm a really small business. My business is me and my VA. So if I'm not there, nothing happens. And so, you know, my boundaries are always blurred. I work from home. I sit in my office all the time. My kids stand at my desk and say, Mummy, I need this. And I go, yeah, can't be there. Or can you put me to bed now? You know, I'm like, oh, bless. Or can you play with me? Yeah. I mean, they were the worst words my kids ever said to me. I used to be like, oh, don't ask me to play with you. I'm busy. And now they're too old. They don't want me to play with them anymore. So how am I doing? I am constantly juggling, but I do think it's been really interesting, that sort of dichotomy between like working for yourself versus being in an office and working for someone else, and how actually it's so much bloody harder working for yourself and the pressure you put on yourself, because it's you and you who is delivering the money at the end of the day. And if you're not working, you're not earning. That's pressure. So, you know, there are days where I think, do I really want to be doing this? Or just get a job, and then at the end of the day I'm going to get paid. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Wow. Well, the irony that you have set something up to help other people, and in doing that not helped yourself. But I'm sure there's a lot of people listening in your network that will be saying thank you for what you did. And I, for one, would like to get some time with you after this to work out how we can help that, because that you're choosing some of that stuff and you can choose other stuff. It's that thing I always talk about before I had my cardiac arrest. What was the sort of word cloud of my life, and why was it? It was work, and a little bit of other stuff. Yeah. And now I've flipped that, and actually I'm more successful, because the fear of I have to often is just that unconscious engine of fear running. And if you just slow down a sec and just go, okay, actually, what is happening right now? I can hear the kids asking for me. I'm going to stop because no one's going to die. I say to my clients all the time, we are not saving babies. So let's get some time together. We don't know. I'd love to help you with that, to unpick some of that, because
I think in the early days I was actually worse. I do think as time has gone on, I have learned to be more intentional about my time.
Yeah.
But that's been like a lesson. And I also think that I tell other people and I know what to do, but it's so easy to tell other people what to do. And I get it. I understand boundaries. I teach them. I train them. But when it comes to me, I need some lessons. I need to take my own advice.
Well, we all need support. We all need a tribe, right? I've got people around me that remind me, and I talk about it every day. This is what we're here to do, and I've got a post that I've been meaning to put up. It's just I'm really struggling to slow down right now. Just I'm single parenting. My mother-in-law has not been around very much, and she's been a big help at home. There's a lot of stuff going on with the business. New business is overwhelming. There's just a lot going on, and this obviously, which is my joy. And it takes a muscle to just go, okay, it's okay, everything's okay. Let's just spend the next couple of minutes breathing or standing outside with our feet on the grass and grounding ourselves. Yeah. So look, let's get some time. I'm in your tribe now.
I know. And actually, when you came and did a webinar with me, I was going, yes.
Exactly.
I don't want to be, that person. No. I want to be this person. And actually, you've got to be really intentional about becoming that person.
Yeah.
And you seem to have it nailed. So I want to hear more about that. Because when I look at your socials and I see you in the gym in the morning and going to work and being in it, I just think, I want to be more like Tobi.
Oh, bless you. I definitely don't have it now.
So I need to learn a little bit more about what you're doing to keep your shit together.
Yes, Tobi, please tell us. Obviously, you've written this book, which is about blending motherhood and navigating career. Tell us about how slowing down has helped. Talk to us. Just give us the sort of potted line of your approach of having it all.
I definitely do not have it all.
Right.
I'll definitely just caveat that. And
Good.
I think the whole premise of the blend is...
I like you now.
Do you know?
I love Tobi.
Definitely do not have it all.
Yeah.
The whole premise of the blend for me is something that I keep central in my mind almost every single day. And it's, you look at the different seasons of your life, and I equate it to baking, which I'm not very good at. But if you, let's say, wanted to do a chocolate cake or you wanted to do an apple crumble, you take different ingredients based on where you're at.
Yeah.
And that's why I think you have to have a lot of grace and patience and empathy for yourself based on where you're at. So I know right now I've started a new job. So my role at home is very different to what my role may have been at like 3 months ago when I wasn't working and I was all in on the kids and going to all the Christmas things and going to all the football games. Whereas now, we've got a spring concert tomorrow. I'm not at that. There's the kids finish at 11:45 next week at the end of term, which is ludicrous.
11:45. Why bother sending them in?
I know, right? I'm not going to be there. So again, I just look at each season, and sometimes I literally take it week by week, and I think, right, what are the things that I'm actually going to take off my plate? Because A, it's a ball that I can drop. B, it's not urgent. C, I'm not needed to do that thing to progress it forward. D, it's actually going to run me out of steam, out of energy. And therefore, for the day afterwards or the week afterwards, I'm going to be of no use to anybody. So I really take those value judgments really seriously. And I'm quite religious with my working out, probably a bit too religious with it. But I have learned that it fills my cup more than so many other things that I could have on my to-do list for that day. And it's a space where when I'm in that space and I'm working out, I'm not Tobi, I'm not a mum, I'm not a sister, I'm not an employee. I smile at people in the gym, but they don't know my name. I feel like I'm this nameless entity that is just focused on that thing, that movement, that stillness of my mind. And so I take that really, really seriously, and that's the first thing I do pretty much 6 days a week. But I really definitely do not have it nailed. I do not have it all kind of like perfectly kind of painted out in terms of the blend, but I literally just take it day by day, week by week. But I'm very clear on the things that drain my energy, and I'm very clear on the things that kind of give me energy, and I tap into those as much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
I think your point, about seasons is such a good one, because as women and as mums, maybe as mothers, there are definite seasons. So there's that first season when you have your children and everything just feels impossible and overwhelming and you can't see straight and you're in late night, not sleeping through the nights and all that craziness, and your career kind of falls through a cliff and you're like, where am I? What am I doing? Who am I? What's my name? And then that whole work piece is, imposter syndrome, lacking in confidence, and that sort of those early days of motherhood is a season.
Yeah.
And I think you can't see your way to the next season at that point. I think that was a really interesting time. But then as your children grow, so does, your life evolves and your work evolves and we evolve. And so, now my kids are 12 and 14, and even though they need me in a really different way. And they they're longer school days, they're not nursery pickups and all that craziness that went on, and they were sick every day. And I used to literally have to hide in the toilets because I needed to go and pick them up because they were sick and I didn't want anyone to find me. And I did all that crazy stuff when they were little because I was trying to, that cliche where you're like, work like you don't, what is it? Work like you don't work and parent like you don't work.
Yeah, like you don't have children, or I can't remember.
That.
We know what we're talking about.
Yes.
Fuck that, smiles to that.
But I literally used to go into the toilet with my handbag and not say goodbye to anyone because school had called and nursery and they were sick and I had to go and it was terrible and I was going to get sacked and, so it's that season thing. And now, I can breathe a bit more and there is time. So I think that, we need to look at those seasons and be, as you said, give ourselves grace for the times where.
Add to, I guess, my personal experience of that kind of seasonality. Every season I've asked for help in different ways.
Yeah.
So seasons where I was really struggling with imposter syndrome, I invested in a coach. Seasons where I was writing the book and I was like, oh my goodness, how am I going to do this with a full-time job and a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old? I took the money that you get from the advance and invested it in an evening nanny to kind of help me in the evening so I could still be present. So I always try and find different ways and solutions to get help, because I've realized very quickly that I am human and I cannot do it all by myself.
My husband likes to say that I like to pay my way out of my problems, which yes, if I can earn and pay, I will. So the night nurse was there because I was, working and I couldn't do it, and I think you have to admit where you can't do things. Absolutely. And, if you need a cleaner to clean your house so you can go to work, that's okay. And I think we need to, give ourselves grace. And, and as you say, if we feel, imposter syndrome and we need a coach or whatever, you need to do those things for yourself. And I think we forget to invest in ourselves sometimes, and it's so important to invest in ourselves.
I completely agree. And all of this is just ladding up for me to the same thing, which is why you're making the choices you're making. And often we don't get a cleaner because you feel the shame of, I should be able to do it all and clean myself, or we don't get that extra help, or we hide in the toilets. And I really want people listening to know the reason we're doing that is madness in our heads, and it's not real. And everyone was a child at one point, and everyone has parents. As I always say to women who are scared of telling their boss they're pregnant, that guy or that woman also came out of someone else's vagina. Like, all we're doing is bringing up the future generations, and there is no shame in it. And that why is in our heads, that fear, that looking glass self, the fear of other people's opinion. We're imagining the shame. We're imagining that other people's judging. But actually, particularly as a leader, by being really loud about the fact that I've got to leave to pick up my kid, or I'm going to be at the spring concert. I appreciate you can't go, so that's okay. You've done it. Your tank is full. But it's just that. Think about why. This is the thing with Slow the Fuck Down. It's not about doing less. It's not about saying don't have your business running as you are. It's about saying, why am I thinking that? Why am I feeling that? Often it's the engine of fear that we're programmed with, our fight or flight, the videos of catastrophe and shame that are running on us, and they're not real. So in any moment, why am I doing this? Why am I thinking this? Why am I acting like this? And stopping that pattern of negativity and spiral. And that's what leads to the burnout often. Yeah. Not actually the environment you're in. It's the choices you're making based on the madness. So that's what we need to work on. And Katy, back to you. So you were on maternity leave and you wanted to go back to work, but you weren't sure and everything was overwhelming. At what point did you say, okay, I can't do this. I'm going to jump out and set up FWP?
So I didn't actually. I didn't make a conscious decision. Interestingly, I was forced into that decision.
Right.
And life, the way it played out was that during my maternity leave, I was made redundant.
Oh my God. Is that even legal?
Well, do you know what? No. But 74,000 women a year are made redundant or, when they're pregnant or on maternity leave. they don't get to go back to work. And that statistic is crazy and growing.
Yeah.
And I was one of the unfortunate 74,000 who, went on maternity leave, the top of my career. I was working for a large corporate. I was traveling the world. I didn't know anything really other than my career. Then I became a mum, and then that kind of blew my mind because I was like, oh, I don't really, who am I? And, what is this new identity of mine? And I just want to go back to work where I feel safe and can drink my tea in peace. But then something's definitely shifted. Obviously it shifted because I was like, actually, I don't know if I really do want to go back. So maybe it was a gift. And I think that you have to view everything happens for a reason, 100%. Cliched maybe, but, was my path meant to be that? And when I was having those conversations about going back into work, it actually made me feel like ill. I didn't want to go back. Not at that point. It wasn't right for me at that point. So then I was in this murky, well, what do I do? What do I do now? Who am I? What do I do? And I think so many women in my community feel like that. They're like, they had children, they've had careers, and then they sort of fall off a cliff and they're in these murky waters of what the fuck do I do now? And for a few years, I kind of just winged it, and I was doing a bit of consulting and earning a bit of money here and freelancing. And, I was a marketing director at the time. But it wasn't really filling my cup. And what I realised was that there were thousands of women just like me standing on the sidelines with big brains in their head going, oh, well, I used to be this, or I used to be an HR director, or I used to be an accountant, and I used to work in the city, and now I'm a personal trainer, or now I'm this, or now I'm that. And I was like, how does this happen? Like, how do we have a world where we've got all these incredible women who have had children and they are unable to go back into the workplace because they've got other things to do? Like, that feels really wrong. And I think for a long time I thought I was broken. And I was like, is there something wrong with me? Or how does this work? And then I realised, no, actually it's the workplace that's broken. It's the system. The system is not set up. And I find it really fascinating when men sitting around their boardrooms going, we've got a problem, with our female, we haven't got enough female leaders in the business, our female pipeline or talent pipeline. Well, no, of course you haven't, because you don't embrace flexible working, and flexible working is one of the key drivers to getting women back to work. So it's like, this isn't rocket science. This just isn't rocket science. So, then we had the pandemic and everyone was like, oh, good, we can all work remotely. This is brilliant. Let's all work remotely. Let's all give up our offices. And then now we're just in this horrible place where everyone's going back to the office and we've forgotten about all these brilliant things that happened, and that actually productivity didn't fall through the floor during the pandemic. People still delivered. We didn't all need to be in the office. And, we're back in this presenteeism culture where you feel like you have to be seen to be, and trusted and working. Anyway, so that's kind of, I fell out of the workplace. And this is a very long, drawn out way of saying that then I set up Flexible Working People. And I set it up as a community, not as a business. I wanted to galvanise women like me who had always also fallen out of the workplace and say, actually, you know what? We can, as a force, we can come together and we can champion this. And we became a really strong voice, and the community grew and grew and grew. And now we're a community of 100,000 strong.
Wow.
And now I help women, mainly women, although flexibility should be for everybody, not just for women. And we need to balance that playing field.
Absolutely.
It certainly shouldn't just be about women. Men want to work flexibly too. And actually, the only way we're going to get balance is by men working flexibly too, and it not being a good old perk that we give mums to, so that they can work. So that's not a thing. But now, in those micro changes, those me talking to an organisation and talking to them about how to design a job around, a woman, so that they can get women into their workplace, how to think about designing jobs so that they're not by default full time. Those are the types of conversations I have where I feel like I make an impact. Or the woman who says, I get an email and they say, oh, years ago I was on your group and I saw a job and, you were the one who got me back into work. And I'm like, that's why I do what I do. So Flexible Working People is all about, those moments where I am changing lives by getting people back into work who, felt that they couldn't. And so every step is a step towards making that change. And even though we can't change the macro, I can definitely, the changes I can make, I do.
Hurrah for you. I mean, seriously, talk about, yes, it was meant to be. It absolutely was meant to be. And there's 100,000 reasons why it was meant to be. And thank God for you. So, amazing what you've done is completely challenge and make a difference. So, yeah, I mean, you're very humble the way you talk about it. I couldn't agree with everything you just said more. The trust thing, I wrote down trust as you said it. This whole sway of getting people back to the office. If you can't trust your team to be productive when they're not, what are you communicating?
Correct.
What are you telling them? And if you want to have that sort of adult, parent-child relationship with your team, crack on and make it compulsory. But if you want to be adult to adult,
Correct.
and create we all know about the importance of trust in productivity, motivation, retention. If you want to be giving the right messages, let people be flexible. And if you are a business who has too many men in the boardroom and think you've got a problem, give Katy a call. She'll sort you out. This is going to be a really useful episode. I'm so happy we're talking about some of these things. So, Tobi, you have led major client wins and scaled teams at pace. So not only a brilliant mum, brilliant blender, you're actually a brilliant career woman. How do you give yourself that space for thinking? One of the things I talk about all the time is if we are in back-to-back meetings, most of us are paid to think. How do we think? How do you manage that balance of slowing down, keeping the momentum at the same time?
I love to walk. It sounds so simple, but there's something so freeing about methodically just going out, getting some fresh air, putting one foot in front of the other. And you're so right. Your best ideas do not come when you're furiously typing in a laptop, or rarely in that board meeting, or rarely in that client meeting. It actually comes when you step away. And that's when your brain starts tinkering. We all know it, right? It's in the shower, it's going on a walk, it's on a plane, it's when we wake up. It's when our subconscious mind has a moment to actually come alive, because we're not go all the time. There's this amazing book that I absolutely love that you would love as well. It's called The Power of Full Engagement. It's quite an old book, but it goes through different examples of different people, so sports people, career people, and actually where they're really struggling to get to the peak of their performance no matter what they're doing. And often the solution is around rest, it's around movement, it's around kind of taking moments out, so actually when you go back in you can be fully engaged and perform at your absolute best. So for me it is simple things like going for a walk. Yes, I definitely love to work out, but I wouldn't say that my best ideas necessarily come in the gym, but I think it is for me literally just taking a step back, going for a walk, or sometimes even it's just like a cuddle with the kids. It's just taking that time out, things, and recognizing the things that kind of fill my cup. But also I have started to learn, I guess, those physical signs where I'm doing too much. Like my throat is dry, my eyes are tired, I can't quite focus, my head is like, it feels like it's kind of spinning out of control. Those are the signs where I'm like, you need to take a step back. So I'm quite good at recognizing those signs, and I might just feel physically overwhelmed or overstimulated, especially if I've just done the school run. I need a minute before I go straight back into work. So those are the things that definitely help me. And if I am leading a team, and where I have led much bigger teams or teams of various different sizes, I do exactly the same with my team. So when I was agency side and we have a massive pitch, a big part of our job was to get everything ready for that particular pitch. We might not always be in the pitch room, and particularly if we're not in the pitch room, I'll just sit with my team and we'll just be like, all right, should we go for a coffee, or go down the pub, or go for a walk, or why don't you go and do that thing, or why don't you go and see your friend that you've been neglecting for 2 weeks because we've had this massive pitch, and we can pick up everything else that we need to afterwards. If I can't impress that on my team, then I'm not the leader that I want to be. So yes, I live it for myself, but I'm also a massive believer in making sure that others can live it around me as well.
That's great leadership. And it's so true. Athletes don't train 7 days a week. Either side of a peak is two valleys, all those cliches, but it's so true. How come people think, and I see it all the time, you can just keep going and keep going and keep going, keep going and keep going, and that the body won't keep the score.
No,
At some point you're going to run out of juice. So, slowing down is not because you're lazy. It's not lethargy. It's about being able to then speed up again. And you have to have those breaks. I always talk about energy management, and I'm sure if anyone is a regular listener to the podcast, they've heard me say this before. But if you have a finite amount of energy, people are poking holes in that cup of energy, consciously being aware of who puts it back in the top, or what. So for you, it's your walking or your gym. You know, for me, it's about the right people and also exercise. I mean, for me, it's very much sanity, not vanity. And I said, for people listening, you don't have to be in the gym 6 days a week, although, oh my God, I wish I could. I mean, solo parenting, that's just not going to happen. But you know, like this, I do a thing called the 5 Tibetans. It's a 7-minute yoga practice. If that's all I have time for, but everyone has time for 7 minutes. This morning I did 20 minutes on my treadmill that I've got at home now, because to get to the gym, I think that in itself is amazing. I don't know how you do it, but I've got a little gym at home, and it's carving out. It's saying, what do I need to make sure I've got the right energy? But like you say,
it's choices, right? And it's like how you choose to spend those 7 minutes. You could spend it scrolling, and sometimes that could be the thing that you need, but also you've got that choice to say, actually, I could spend it just, you know, taking a couple of steps around the block or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Katy, in your experience working with teams and businesses who really embrace that sort of flexibility and the slower approaches to work, what's the impact of that? What do you see when people allow the flexibility and the balance?
So I would say companies that allow and enable flexibility will have better retention. They'll have people that want to work for you and stay in your business. So that's the first thing. So it's got a massive impact on retention and loyalty. Also, I think just by offering flexibility, you're unlocking like an enormous talent pool of different types of people. So we talk about inclusion, but, you know, without offering flexibility, you're not unlocking the talent pool. So you're fishing in the same pond, you're going to have the same people. So you're diversifying the types of people within your organization. And also, I think by allowing flexibility, you're allowing people to be autonomous and have some control over how they work. And when you have some control over how you work, and you become more intentional about how you spend your time, and, you know, you choose when you're at your optimal, you know, to work. So there'll be people who are amazing in the mornings. I mean, I am terrible in the mornings. I hate working in the mornings. You know, if I could start work every day at 10 o'clock, I do. But I feel really productive in the evenings, and that's when I smash it out the park, and I could be working till 11, and that's my choice because that's how I work. So I think by enabling people to have more control over their flow, you definitely get the best out of people. And I think by putting everyone in the same box and going, right, well, we all start at 9 and we all finish at 6. And that's that, you know, and we all sit at our desks.
Yeah.
And then we go home and then we do more. And then we answer all our emails. Like, it's just so restrictive, and you're not really playing to people's, you know, individuality and the way they work best. So I think you unlock so much more and you get so much more out of people. It is, I think that people, you know, companies say it's a bit harder to manage when there's flexibility because everyone wants something different, and it's much easier to control your workplace when they're all in the office. You know where they are, you know when you can have a meeting, you know it can be that thing where you want to have a face-to-face meeting but no one's in the office, or, you know, but there's ways to manage that. So it's like, it's about having planned activity. So, you know, if Wednesday is an office day and that's your day of collaboration, then, you know, Friday can be a day where everyone's working from home. So it's just about being organized about how you manage that flexibility in the workplace. But I think the benefits of flexibility just beyond outweigh anything else. And so, you know, it worries me, this tension now that we've got, because I feel like we are getting pulled back into this presenteeism, this workplace culture where you have to be in the office to be working. And I think that these return to office mandates, particularly in the large corporates, you know, I'm seeing people vote with their feet. I'm seeing people, as those announcements are made, they're in my inbox. And so literally as soon as the announcements are being made, corporates are making the announcement, they're like, hello, can you know, I can't be here because I can't work like this, and I don't want to be in the office 5 days a week. It doesn't work. Looking for a job. It's like, it's not rocket science.
I was just going to say that exact sentence. It is not rocket science. You give people the choice, you help them improve their well-being, they're more productive, they're going to do more for you, they're going to be more loyal, their work rate is going to be something like, I think it's 20% improved productivity, where people feel that an organisation prioritises their well-being. I mean, it's really not fucking rocket science.
But they talk about it prioritising their well-being, and they have well-being sessions,
they've got
and they have talks, and they have pink days and ping pong in there. But it's all BS.
It's bollocks.
It's just bollocks.
Yeah.
It's just bollocks.
Yeah.
Like, either be flexible and lead with flex, and your culture has to be flexible. Like, it's not about your policy, it's about your culture.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about policy and flexible working policies and what's your policy, that's all bollocks too. Because ultimately, unless you live and breathe flexible working and you're role modeling flexible working and your bosses, you know, and your managers and everybody just embraces that, then you're still breeding a culture of presenteeism. Yeah. So it's not about policy, it's about culture. It's about living and breathing that culture.
Yeah. And where's the evidence? Has anyone ever, is there any evidence that says being in the office I've not seen it, because surely if there was some, people would be talking about it.
There's so much more evidence to show
I agree.
that productivity increases when people are in control and have autonomy.
I always said
and loyalty and retention.
Yeah, I'd rather have 3 days of someone who's on it those 3 days and someone who's dragging their ass into the office on a Friday feeling resentful and, you know, spending the day, you know, on Temu. Sorry. Not that I go on Temu. Tobi, has there been a time, you talked before about recognising the signs, you know, sore throat, feeling a bit, has there been a particular time when, you know, perhaps in your agency days where you really did not pay attention, forgot to slow down?
Yeah, definitely. I think there was a time leading up to one particular summer holiday where, and I almost didn't recognize it until I actually was on a holiday, and I thought, my goodness, I have never needed a holiday as much as I feel like I need this break and this time away. And it is partly symptomatic of the things that I choose to do, because I choose to do a lot on top of my day job. But there was definitely a moment where I was like, wow, there's a lot to manage here. There's a lot of change. There's a lot to get through. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot going on at home. And that was the moment where I was like, no. I'm going to choose myself and really think about how I really prioritize things. And I was still going to the gym. I was still working out quite regularly, but I think how I was doing that, the choices that I was making when I was coming home in terms of how I was spending my time and how I was looking after myself wasn't exactly in line with, I guess, where I'm at now and what I really did believe deep down inside. So yeah, I definitely have been there.
Katy, have you got a moment you can share where you just forgot completely to look after yourself? Or are we in it now?
I think I'm right there in it now. Yes, I need to learn, and I know that I do, and I listen to, you know, you, and I'm listening to you, and I think that, you know, the gym is just the antithesis of who I am, and I haven't found an exercise yet that I enjoy.
It might not be an exercise. It could be spending time with friends. It could be
therapy. I'm very good for spending time with friends.
Walking.
I quite enjoy walking, but only when the sun's out and it's not cold.
I have mentioned to you about getting a dog, but you don't want one.
I do. My husband won't let me get a dog.
Right,
I like a dog, and the kids want a dog. I mean, I'm not mad on dogs, I'll be honest, but I do think it would get me out the house.
Yeah, you have to. It forces
and I like the idea of having a little, you know, doggy, you know, but no, I'm not allowed a dog.
We're going to find something. Honestly, we're going to find something. The holidays thing, I think, just to go back to that, I was in a conversation this morning with this incredible woman who's actually a botanical well-being practitioner who's all about using her knowledge of plants to help people live better lives, and she's all about awareness and even just awareness of what's going on. Claudine Collins was on the show, and she talks about how when she left WPP, she realised for 30 years that she'd been walking around without looking up. You know, she walked down the street she lived on for 8 years and noticed the houses, and you know that this thing of holidays, you just power through the year,
for 2 weeks
to earn loads of money, to then spend an absolute fortune for those 2 weeks, and then you dread going back to it. And go, oh, my email's gonna be. That is no way to live her life, and she's all about holiday every day. Like, imagine if you could manage your energy in such a way that you wake up every day with that. Of course, you're not drinking pina coladas on the beach, but to have that positivity in your life. And that's something, there is no reason why we can't make those choices.
I think there's something for me about inner purpose and understanding what your inner purpose is. Because I think what you said that referred back to Claudine, who I think is amazing, by the way, made me really think of the time where I made a decision to leave my job without a job. It's something that I would have never, ever thought that I would have done. Not the type A Nigerian firstborn child. You don't do such a thing. But actually, when I stepped away, I found it quite difficult at the end, because I was like, who am I? Whose am I? What do I do? I've got no title. I remember registering to go to an industry event and they asked for your title and I had an asterisk. So it was a mandatory thing. I was like, what do I put?
Yeah.
But after I got over that hump, I was like, none of that actually matters. No title, no chasing a particular salary or title or position in a company doesn't actually matter. What matters is me every day feeling like I'm living out some kind of purpose. And I can still do that in a corporate workplace, but without this fixation of I've got to climb this ladder, I've got to do this. I'm still ambitious, don't get me wrong, but it's driven by a different purpose rather than just chasing for the sake of chasing. So yeah, I love that.
I think that just on that, what I did and what I would encourage others to do just on that is to redefine what success looks like to you.
100%.
Someone said that to me once and I was like, that's it. That is it. Because I think that you think that success is one thing, but actually then you go, is it? So, is success having the big salary? Is it driving the fast car? Is it? And then I was like, I don't know if it is. Actually, success to me now looks like being able to be in control, make choices and design my life around what I want it to be. And I have done that, even though I might not have the best boundaries. But I do think that it's about redefining what success looks like to you.
100%. Purpose, finding your purpose.
Yeah.
I will be the person that stands up there and shouts at everyone, this is not a fucking dress rehearsal.
No.
This thing we're waiting to start our lives. When I get that job, when I get that salary, that car, that house, then I'll be happy. And it's bollocks because the more you earn, the bigger the house, etc., etc.
You always want more.
Always want more. You never get there. So it's about going, okay, I feel really blessed. This is my purpose. I was saved. I shouldn't be here, but I was saved to help people and to have conversations like this. And so I wake up every day full of that. Like, oh my God, I come back from holiday and can't wait to get back to work.
Because you designed that. You've created that.
Yeah, but I I've chosen it.
Yeah.
And we all have, and I appreciate there is privilege that goes with that, but we all have the opportunity to make choices about how we want to live and who we want to be. And that's what this is. It's just like, take a breath and say, are you who you want to be? We're going to get a flood of resignations after this. Everyone's going to blame us, aren't they?
True though, design your life, and don't be scared. I think it was, I'm going to say her name wrong, but Sahar Hashimi, who founded Coffee Republic. I was at a talk when I was at Microsoft, and she said, "Take the jump, and the net will appear."
100%.
And I'm not sure that I always live by it, but I think that that's such a powerful statement. And actually, even when you're forced to make a change, the net appears because it just fucking has to. You'll make it appear. Yeah. So
I say it all the time. There'll be a lot of my mentees listening to this going, Emma told me that. Jump and the net will catch you. Absolutely. I left Eurostar pregnant, no maternity leave. Absolutely no idea what I was going to do. And that identity thing was so big. Yeah. Suddenly, I'm Emma Harris, I'm a mum. Who the fuck am I? Yeah. And look, here we are. Yeah. This has been amazing. I could talk to you for hours. This has been brilliant. We will carry this on in your lounge at one point.
With a drink.
Not water. Yeah, not just water. Okay. I think Daniela promised us margaritas. But just a final thing, everyone listening, we hope that they have some great takeaways. You've given them loads. Obviously, one is buy the blend. Another one is join Flexible Working People. What's the one thing you want to leave our audience with today? I'll start with you, Tobi.
Don't define yourself by any title. I think define yourself by your purpose and what gives you energy. You are so much more than your title. You're so much more than your 9 to 5, your 9 to 9, your 9 to 6, whatever it is. Define yourself by the things that just light you on fire and make you happy.
Oh, I love that.
So I would say that we all deserve to have the life that we want, and that flexibility is key to that, and taking control over your life and your journey is really important. So take control, take the reins back, have a think about what it is that you really want out of your life and what's going to make you happy, and make small steps to getting there, because every small step is one small step closer to where you want to be.
I love that. You're helping all these people. We now have to help you, Katy. We're going to get that time in the diary.
Become a project.
Exactly. We might even come back to you in 6 months' time and you'll be like, oh my God, I've slowed the fuck down. The business is thriving and I am happy. Anyway.
Love that.
Katy, Tobi, you've been absolutely amazing. Thank you for coming. Thank you for giving us your wisdom, your vulnerability and your time. Audience, thank you very much for listening. This has been Slow the Fuck Down. Thank you for listening to the Slow the Fuck Down podcast with Glow London and The Drum. If you found this episode interesting and insightful, please help us spread the word by giving us a follow or sharing it with your friends. And if you feel inclined to give us a quick review, that would be awesome. Let's all do what we can to help the world slow the fuck down.